Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. Right up front, we invite you to join our community of music lovers by subscribing below for our daily content. Also support our mission of curating the history of this great era, the rock era, by becoming a patron. Now today, we go behind one of the most impactful songs and music videos of the entire 1980s, I Ran So Far Away, parentheses song, by English new wave band A Flock of Seagulls, with lead singer Mike Score telling us the story. A man whose hair was just as memorable and influential as the song itself.
Hey, do you like Flock of Seagulls?
I can see you do.
Ironically, he now has no hair. Mike and A Flock of Seagulls were on the front line, of course, of the second British invasion, and they were true originals on MTV in its infancy. Here's Mike Score with the rest of the story. I Ran, one of the biggest songs of the 80s and one of the most iconic songs of really any decade. That was not only so big in the US, but I mean, it's number one in Australia. Yeah. It hit the top 10 worldwide in so many different countries. I want to ask you specifically about that song and go through some different things, because I'm talking about the wall of sound, that guitar feedback. Tell me kind of the invention of that song.
Like I said earlier, we went to Zoo Records and there was photographs. One of the photographs was a guy and a girl running away from a flying saucer. So that was, we were trying to say to Zoo, we can write songs about anything. We'll write a song about this picture. That night or the night after, something like that, we went to Eric's, which was a big club in Liverpool. And there was a band on and they did a song called I Ran. And it clicked that I ran, they ran, picture, you know. Yeah. So we actually went back to our rehearsal room, this was like 4 a.m, and started rehearsing. And we had like some little ideas. Mm-hmm. So we started playing around with those and just singing I Ran and coming up with 1 or 2 lines. And from that, it just developed itself. For me, when a song is right, it writes itself. It starts to tell you what it wants next, you know, and I think the big drum roll and stuff just came from my brother being a bit frustrated, I think, about something. So he just started pounding his drums and we're like, well, that sounds awesome. We just keep going, you know. Then it's like, what should we do after that? How about a lead break? And then, it just started to arrange itself.
I ran and then so far away. Was it something that you just kind of started singing out there? Or?
Yeah, just plucked it out of the air, you know.
Wow.
It could have been I ran through a field full of cabbages, but it was so far away. It's kind of weird when you're writing songs. You know, influences and other songs that you've heard come flying through your head, you know, mm-hmm. and even just one line can suddenly gravitate into your song. You know, I would sing something and the other guys would go, yeah, do that again, sing that again. So, you know, we'd end up playing an hour-long version of I Ran.
Right.
Singing that chorus 20 times until it just sounded, and everyone would go, that's perfect.
That's it.
Now let's, you know, what are we going to do for the lead guitar, you know? And then you just start singing something. How about da-da-da-da-da, you know? And then Paul would just go, yeah, that sounds great, da-da-da. And the song wrote itself.
The video, so iconic, MTV. That was cool about the 80s and back in the day when you didn't have the internet and you couldn't find everything that you wanted about the artist. It was mysterious.
Right.
It's probably how it was for you with David Bowie and growing up with you guys. It was like that for me and my friends. And we're like, who are these guys? And what is this?
Who are these nutcases?
Yeah. And so it was really cool, but that was the most viral video in MTV history, way before YouTube.
Yeah, I've heard that myself.
And it's been more watched, obviously, by the world. Do you remember making the video? And take us to that day, if you don't mind.
MTV contacted all the record companies saying, we're looking for new acts. This is a new idea for TV. And they said, can you get us some kind of promo from any new acts? So all I remember was we were called into the offices in the morning and they said, this afternoon, you're going to make a video. And we were like, what's a video? You know? And they gave us some money and went, here, go buy yourself some clothes that you like the fashion. And by the time you come back, the director and everyone will be here with the cameras, and we'll make a video. So we're like, cool, okay, let's go. I think we got £100 each or something. We went shopping in London, just down the road, got some clothes, came back, makeup, cameras, bang. It was all done in about 2 hours. I think they edited it that night. We saw it at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I think it was on MTV the next morning.
Wow.
And MTV said, we're going to play it every hour on the hour or something like that, because they only had like 6 videos. And suddenly we were like in that first batch, so we got like super rotation. They got a really good reaction from everybody, and it just took off. I think we're one of the bands MTV made us, you know?
Yeah.
Because we had crazy style, and they had this crazy idea of putting music out like that in their own completely new way. People would put us in a bracket that was, this is where I am now, you know. I think a lot of kids were looking for something like that to latch onto.
No question.
Because they couldn't relate to the big 70s bands and all that stuff, you know.
I remember the generation that I grew up in was the Saturday morning cartoon generation, and comic books were still, instead of comic book movies, it was a comic book. And it was cool to see something that was so colorful and so imaginative and sci-fi and futuristic. And I saw a movie just recently where the guy says, what kind of band are you? It's set in the 80s. He's like, oh, we're futurists. And I was like, that's exactly it. That's what it was.
How do you do?
This is the singer in the band I was telling you about.
Oh yeah, she played me a song, good vibes. Little bit of Duran Duran in there, bit of new romance. What style would you say you were?
I'm a futurist.
Epic. See you in the future then.
Well, these days I call it future retro. So, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And even now, I mean, it's not only was big in the 80s, but that movement and what you started, the song has lasted for decades and decades and will continue to. You know, Grand Theft Auto, video games, and Guitar Hero, Rock Band. I mean, Iran is on all of those.
Yeah.
And so
I think all the kids that liked us then have grown up into big positions where they put the music they like in, and they grew up with Iran, so they put it in.
And the covers, there have been so many different covers. You've probably seen some. Have you ever seen Tori Amos's?
No.
I walk along the avenue. I never thought I'd meet.
And Bowling for Soup, which was a big band in the late 90s. Of course, in movies, Hangover. I don't know if you saw it, Hangover 2.
Part of the problem is that people tell me, and go see this, it's in it, and I go, yeah. I'm onto something else. And then like 5 years down the line, I go, I didn't know that was in that movie.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's, But it's like people skit us, but they don't forget us.
Thanks for watching. Leave us a comment about Mike's score and A Flock of Seagulls and this transcendent song and music video. Tell us your memories of the song when you first heard it or first saw it. Celebrate this masterpiece as well the right way by getting A Flock of Seagulls on vinyl or CD below, and other merch like the shirt of the day, which says, I love yacht rock. And also, if you like this content, we invite you again to become part of our community by subscribing below to get our daily content. Support us on Patreon. Help us keep the music alive. It's a really important work. We invite you to be a part of it. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends. Stay safe out there.